Hi, I'm Irene Tansman, author of Abby and Arlene's Autism War. I'd like to apologize to my viewers on my long hiatus due to personal reasons, but I am back. Today I'd like to review this book, Chasing the Intact Mind by Amy Lutz. I must rate this book 5 stars because if I don't, I'd be shooting my son with severe autism and my family in the foot. This is the first book of its kind, and I hope that it will be followed by many other books and articles that describe the poor state of services and the erosion of choices in services for those individuals with severe and profound autism. I'm sure that this book will sell to families of individuals with severe autism, but it really won't have the desired effect if it does not reach policymakers and the general public. We need to change the public perception of the state of affairs for those with severe autism. This book and recent articles are baby steps towards doing that. Lutz deserves credit for publishing the first book of this sort. I have no doubt that she will be bullied for expressing her frank opinions. I took this book out of the library, but I have decided to purchase a copy so that I can quote from it and use her bibliography when I write articles and letters. The situation cannot change by one book alone. It has to be all of us writing letters, publishing articles, visiting lawmakers, and general advocacy. The groups that advocate to close down vital services for those with severe and profound autism have federal funding and have influence with politicians. This is truly a David and Goliath situation. We all must do our part, or services for the severe population will continue to erode. The best parts of Lutz's book are the 3 chapters at the end of the book. These are the chapters on 14C, or sheltered workshops, erosion of guardianship, and on the resurgence of facilitated communication. Lutz stated many facts that I did not know about the history of these 3 issues. All of her positions were well documented and footnoted. She talks a lot about using objective means and science to determine what works, rather than relying on ideology and values alone. Similar to Lutz's previous books, she philosophizes quite a bit. Some readers like this, some don't. The first part of the book discusses her theory that the dearth of services for those with severe autism stems from a popular belief that beneath the individual autistic behavior, that we believe, or we want to believe, that underneath it all is an intact mind. But sadly, this is not something that is actually based on reality. I think that we could get into trouble using this philosophy. First, there are outliers for whom this is actually true, that they actually do have an intact mind. I watched some of the videos about Jordan Zimmerman, and I have to say, it really does look like she has an intact mind beneath her autism diagnosis. I don't believe she is representative of those suffering from autism level 3. My son could not type independently like she does, but I believe she is doing so. So I think that those on the other side of the argument will argue against this based on the outliers. So I think that I'm also not really sure that I buy it, that theory. One quote that I like to use, and Lutz also uses in her book, is by Justice Anthony Kennedy. In his concurring opinion in the Olmsted case, he warned about the possibility of tragic consequences for the more severe disabled individuals if the ADA is misinterpreted. He said, it would be unreasonable. It would be a tragic event were the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 to be interpreted so that the states had some incentive for fear of litigation to drive those in need of medical care and treatment out of appropriate care and into settings with too little assistance and supervision. And of course, that's where we are now. In light of these concerns that the principle of the liability announced by the court is not applied with caution and circumspection, states may be pressured into attempting compliance on the cheap, placing marginal patients into integrated settings devoid of the services and attention necessary for their condition. And that, of course, is where we are. And I think that's pretty much it. The federal government funds the protection and advocacy centers. These centers soon close down needed services, and it is easy for them to do so. So there's fear of litigation, just like what he talked about. And also the states are pressured to attempt compliance on the cheap so that individuals with severe autism don't get the services they need because it's cheaper not to provide these services. The intact mind, avoiding reality, and screaming inclusion from the rooftops, when it is everything but inclusion, is just a justification for not respecting the dignity of those most vulnerable among us. I want to congratulate Amy Lutz on her book and her bravery. I don't agree with everything she says in her book, but this book here, it's a must read. And also, I'm purchasing it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.